Today we're going to talk about using a command-controlled crane and boom car with a legacy remote. It's important to note that your legacy base needs to be on version 1.3. To tell if your base is on version 1.3, you simply press the red CTC button one time. When it comes up, it'll display cab and the version of software that's on the cab, base and the version of software on the base. As you can see, our cab and base are on version 1.3. If your cab and base displays version 1.0 or 1.2, you should contact Lionel customer service at the number at the bottom of the screen to learn how to get your base upgraded to version 1.3. To get back to the screen we were at, we simply press the red CTC button. So, using the naming convention that we use at Lionel, we'll be working with a Burlington Northern crane and boom car. The road number on our Burlington Northern crane is S104. So using our convention of using the last two digits of the cab number, since 0 is not a valid number, we've chosen to use 4. So we want to press engine 4. Now we want to press the info button in the upper right hand corner. This will get us into the engine menu. By pressing the scroll button one time, we come over to the type. We want to select crane car or CRN. There are several options to choose from, but to get to crane, you simply press the button under the black arrow, down arrow, until the option comes up for CRN. Simply press the key under CRN to get to crane car. What this does for us is it sets our control type up as cab 1, which is required for cranes and boom cars. Since none of them have been shipped with legacy, they only receive 8-bit data. So by having us in cab 1 mode, we'll only send it 8-bit data from our legacy base. We can get to that control tab by pressing the scroll button. As you can see, because our type is crane, the only option we have available to us is cab 1. By pressing scroll again, we get to the sounds. It gives us Rail Sounds 5.0. To exit this menu, we press the info button in the upper right hand corner. Now, whenever we dial up engine 4 and press our aux1 key, the touchpad icons appear specific for a crane. The number 1 position is for the primary boom. By pressing 1 or the 1 position, pushing up on boost raises our boom, down on brake lowers our boom. The number 2 position, or the hook labeled number 2, is for our primary hook. The one labeled number 1 is for the secondary or smaller hook. There's an icon for F with a light. Pressing that once will turn your front lights off. Pressing it again will turn the front lights on. The number 5 position is the rear light, labeled R with a light. Pressing it once turns the rear light off. Pressing it again turns the rear light on. The number 6 position is the outrigger icon. By pressing that one time, the outriggers on your crane deploy. You have the tower comm button. The number 8 position, which is typically smoke off on a locomotive, for the boom car, or the sounds for the boom car, the number 8 is engine shutdown, and number 9 is engine startup, and the number 0 position is the R for engine reset. So now that we have told our cab that engine 4 is in fact a crane car, we can go to the track and program our crane and boom car. Now that we've already programmed our cab 2 under the engine number of 4 and set it up as a crane, we need to make sure that we program both the crane and the boom car. We're using the numbering convention again because the crane itself is S104. We're going to use the last 2 digits, and since 0 is not a valid engine ID number, we've just chosen to select 4. So on our cab 2, we want to make sure we press engine 4. Then we're going to go out to our crane. The program run switch for the crane is located on the left hand side behind the man door. We put the switch in the upward position so that it is closest to the roof. We want to make our boom car the same ID number as our crane. Because the boom car has the sounds, the crane has the action, we want both to occur together. So we're going to go ahead and put the boom car in the program position. With both items in program, we can turn on our power, address engine 4, and press the set button at the bottom of the remote. Nothing happens. The rear light back here is in fact flickering to confirm that the crane is taking the command, but the boom car makes no sound at all. We can now place the program run switch back into the run position on both items by moving the switch to the downward position on the crane. We can go ahead and close the door and put the roof back on our boom car. Now, when we address engine 4 on the cab 2 and press the aux 1 key, sound system comes alive and the icons on the touchpad all reflect the features of the crane. As we covered earlier, the main boom, the primary hook, secondary hook, outriggers, front and rear light, sound on, sound off, and tower comm along with engine reset. So now I'm going to go ahead and press aux 1 in what would be the 1 position. Using my boost key, I'm going to raise the boom. Now I'm going to go ahead and lower the boom by pressing the brake button. I can switch to the primary hook by pressing aux 1 and 2, or the 2 position, the icon for the primary hook, and raise it, as well as lower it. I can change to the secondary hook by pressing the 3 position, or the hook with the number 1 by it on the touchpad. I can raise it and lower it. You'll notice as I'm activating all of these actions, I'm getting a reciprocating sound from the boom car that has the sound in it. That's because both engines are the same ID number. Turning the red wheel on the cab, I can rotate the cab of the crane, both to the right and to the left. Go ahead and turn this around so you can see we can in fact turn the lights on and off from the cab. Right now you can see the front lights are on. By pressing what would be the 4 position, I can turn the lights off and turn them back on. I can do the same function for the rear light. Go ahead and bring the crane back around. By pressing the number 6 position, or the outrigger icon, I can fire the outriggers on my crane. I'll do that now. As you hear, the sound system mimics the action of the outriggers deploying. To turn the sound off on this engine, or on these 2 items here, I don't have a number 5 for shutdown. 5 is what turns my rear light on and off. So I need to use the aux 1 8, or the sound off button. This is the same as turning a smoke unit off on a locomotive. Go ahead and press that now, and the boom car will go through its shutdown sounds. I can bring those sounds back to life by pressing the 9 position, or the speaker icon, which will give us our startup sounds. Do that now. This particular set of Burlington Northern crane and boom car features a diesel sound. Activate the horn. We do have boom cars for other road names in circulation that have a steam sound. So they have more of a steam boiler and steam whistle rather than a diesel motor and diesel horn. You can fire the coil couplers from the remote. Crane has front and rear coil couplers. Unfortunately, the boom car does not have coil couplers. They are just standard freight car couplers. One thing that is important to note is if you try to rotate the cab on your crane, and as you're turning the red wheel, you hear the motor running, but your crane doesn't actually move, it's because it's not engaged. For shipping purposes, we've made the primary drive on the rotation of the cab gear, primary drive gear, so that you can engage and disengage it. To do this, you simply move the lever inside. You push the smaller of the two gears in, and move that large lever down so that it keeps it in place. To disengage, you simply push in the small gear and move that locking mechanism up, which will allow the crane to disengage. I'll attempt to do that from the back side here. This crane is now disengaged, and it allows me to rotate it freely without the gears actually moving. This is required when you package your crane, put it back in the box. You want to make sure that you don't spin it when that gear is engaged with the drive motor. Otherwise, you're liable to strip the gears and cause permanent damage to the crane. That concludes our product video for today. We hope that if you have a crane and boom car, you'll try this with your cab too. Experience the icons on the touchpad, and hopefully it will enhance your operating experience. If you don't have a crane and boom car, well, we encourage you to go out and get one. Thank you. We'll see you next time.